right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the season again. We've got all the balance changes that are coming to this season of Call of Duty Mobile, and this is probably one of the more substantial ones that we've had, so we're just going to go ahead and hop right into things. First one, I don't think anybody is going to be surprised to see, is a nerf to the MG42. I think most people would agree. Even with the free-to-play version, this is a top 3 weapon in the game right now, and I've seen a lot of people complaining about the number of MG42s that they've been seeing lately. So a decrease to the movement speed by 0.1 meters per second, decrease to bullet impact from 1.3 down to 1.05. I think that was one of the biggest requests. I think just primarily because of how high the gun's rate of fire is. Having a bullet impact of 1.3 is crazy OP. We also have the weapon swap speed decreased as well. And then I think probably two of the more substantial nerfs to this are going to be to the recoil booster muzzle, decreasing the BSA by 6%, and then also the rapid barrel from 16% all the way up to 28%. I would say the rapid barrel is going to be pretty much unusable now, because a 28% bullet spread accuracy nerf or sacrifice in order to use the attachment, I don't think is going to be worth it. I think recoil booster is still going to be viable. Obviously, you do also still have the magazine attachment that buffs the rate of fire as well. So it's still going to be a usable weapon, don't get me wrong, but definitely not a far and away best gun in the game type of thing. Tundra nerf, base ADS time increased by 20 milliseconds. I think that was necessary as well. I think even with that nerf, the Tundra is still going to be the #1 sniper in the game, so it's not like they're taking it out of the meta or anything else, but maybe bringing it back a little bit closer to the rest of the weapons in the game, especially as far as snipers go. PKM buffed again. They're just buffing the PKM to the moon. Weapon swap speed increase. I think that was definitely necessary because that thing feels like a slug when you're trying to pull it out or swap it for your secondary. So that's a W in my book. I'm going to move my face cam over to this side and make it a little bit smaller so we're not covering up anything necessary. M4 LMG buff. I think this is back-to-back seasons that has been buffed as well. And this is something that I like to see, like taking the useless guns in the game and actually buffing them. I feel like so many times we get buffs and nerfs to like guns that have been in the meta for forever, and they don't do anything to the guns that have not been changed. So we get a lower arm multiplier that should be nice. You could already 3-tap, I think, with chest shots at M4 LMG, so I'm assuming that's probably going to make it so that with hand shots and chest shots, you can now 3-tap, which is definitely a step in the right direction. Bruin upper torso damage multiplier increased by 1.1, or by 0.1. Once again, not something that's going to make it meta, but at least more usable than it is currently. Holger base strafe speed increased by 0.11, and also the double stack mag got an 8% strafe speed buff. So Holger will be solid. It is nice to see some of those smaller magazines get some more utility just because nobody ever uses those in the first place. Dingo lower torso multiplier increased by 0.07. Once again, interested to see how that's going to play out, as obviously we did have one player in Masters, I believe, using the Dingo, and it wasn't something I expected to see. So maybe something that could be a game changer for that as well. Groza increased the damage by 4 meters in the second damage phase. Once again, I would say Groza is one of the worst weapons in the game. So I don't think that's necessarily going to be something that's a complete game changer, but I guess at the bare minimum, it's now less terrible than it was previously. Upper torso for the BK-57 increased from 1 to 1.1, so that'll be nice as well. BK-57, another one of those weapons that obviously wasn't the worst in the game, but nobody ever really used it. We also have an ASM-10 buff. Like I said, there are a lot of balance changes in this one. ASM-10, reload time reduced, tactical reload time reduced, and empty reload time reduced. I didn't know that the reload time was a huge downside for the ASM, but if it was, hopefully it won't be anymore. HBR, I believe, got a buff last season as well. They buffed the sprint to fire speed. Part of it, I would just like to see like a big buff every once in a while, you know? Like, it's all these tiny buffs that aren't really going to change anything about the meta, especially for these guns that are way outside the meta. It might be nice to see. Okay, hold up. M13 bullet impact from 1 to 1.3 actually could be a big buff. That's something that I'm interested to see how that plays out, because that's like LMG type hit flinch that you're gonna be taking going up against M13s, which could be kind of crazy. Echo, Nerf, don't really care about that. Score Streak, Operator, Skill, Throwable, Havoc. Is the Havoc the one that makes the noise and stuff? That doesn't actually mean anything to me now that I look at it. Ballistic Shield, Nerf. That's a W for sure. That's probably the most annoying operator in the game right now, especially at the highest ranks. Decrease the ammo from 40 to 30, so that's a W. People are still going to sit in corners and camp the hard point with it, but, you know, as long as they can't kill me with it, I guess I'm fine. Sam turret buffed, 40 points to activate, not really a huge deal. Cluster Strike, activation increased by 30. I'm assuming these are, in a way, these are all indirect nerfs to persistence. The SAM turret being easier to access is an automatic counter to a lot of persistent streaks, and then also making the Cluster Strike more expensive, I guess, has an upside there as well. Trip sensor, effective duration decreased 30 seconds to 25 seconds. I'm assuming that's just like 25 seconds before it despawns, right? Definitely nice. I think they just need to increase the visibility on it. It's nearly impossible to spot those, and especially given how strong it is, I think it needs a visibility nerf to some degree to look much more like what the trip mine looks like right now. Molotov cocktail, effective duration decrease, that's a W as well. 1 second less of Molotov duration, big fan of that. Concussion grenade buff, I felt like concussion grenades were already really, really strong, and they increased the AoE by 2 meters. Just for reference, if we're talking about overall, like, because that's a radius, I'm assuming, right? If that's a radius that we're talking about, then that's like 36. Well, no, it's not a square, it's a circle, and I'm not going to do the circle math in my head. But increasing the radius by 2 meters is actually a massive buff. I have a feeling concussions are going to be a nightmare to go up against if that's going to be the case. And then we also have flash drone buff. 15 to 16 meters, not nearly as big of a change, as that's a very tiny percentage compared to a 25%, or actually 33% increase for the concussion grenade buff. Overall, I'm not mad about any of these balance changes. Once again, I think it would be nice to see a more impactful buff for weapons like the HBR, like the ASM-10. Obviously, I'm happy with whatever we can get. Like the Groza, I think the Groza and the Bruin are two guns that are just really, really bad and have no utility in the game right now, and it would be nice to see them get a more substantial buff than what we've seen them get so far. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to complain about the buffs that we are getting. Might just be nice to have something fresh and new in the meta. But let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. That's going to be it for the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.